Oh no. Built a fire pit. That's interesting. Started to work out. Cool. Wait, what? Kelvin? Okay. I hope you had chance. I'd be happy if you visited like 14 countries like in the lockdown period without being affected by anything. That would be nice. Built drones and 3D printers and picked up snowboarding. Awesome. Created a portfolio website. Interesting. Started watching. I don't know what is the TV show. I should search for it. Okay. Nice. Is that good, Christine? Okay. I'll add it to my notes. A second bachelor's. Nice, interesting, awesome. All the best. Volunteering for food shelters. Good job. Gain 15 LBs. Is that an aim? Positive aim? Completed security plus certification. Awesome. Congrats. Run SQL map and database name city. Sorry. Nicholas, I'm trying to do like a 1 TA hour. I'm gonna post a poll after the session today. So you can pick like the most appropriate time for you. I mean, not only for you, like most of the students. And then we can go over like most of the challenges from week 1 to week 4. I'm planning to do that for like 1.5 hours so that like we'll have enough time for covering most of the complicated challenges from each week. I'll try to do there instead of like today's session. I just don't want to confuse like, multiple topics. Cool. I'll post a poll after today's session, like, which dates are most appropriate for you. You can choose from them and then we can go from it. Okay, we are at 10:01. I do have like couple of quick announcements and then I do have like another topic for today, so a quick 10 minutes announcement. So first things first, on the remote help channel you might have seen a post from Susie. So what is the saying is like, you first can use like, we are not saying like, do not post a question, so always post a question 100%, but let's say like, you're stuck at like maybe 4.10, like the challenge, right? So you can search within that remote security help and you can just give like 4.10 or like 4.1, like whatever it is you're stuck with, or anything like, if the flag name is India, you can use that and search it. Okay, why that search didn't go through? Oh, okay. So search something like that and you'll be able to see like previous questions plus like a TA response, something like that. So that will be like, save some time for you mainly before a TA comes and sees and like answers that. That's one. And then once somebody posted an answer, please say like, if that helped you, right? Like, okay, resolved my issue or like whatever you need further more help, like whatever it is, post that response. That will be helpful for TAs too. Like, okay, I don't need to look for this question anymore type of like easy understanding that helps for them. Why I'm saying that is because, like, when a TA comes to here and sees, like, there will be 20 different questions plus the previous questions, right? It will be hard for them to catch up. I did saw somebody said, like, my question didn't answer. Sorry for that. Just because of the volume, they would have missed that one question. Nobody is ignoring you. That's one answer I want to clarify. And also, I did saw some comments on, like, TAs not answering immediately. So TAs are also full-time students and also like employees, some of them. So they have like some particular hours. They come here and then see all the previous questions and answer. So that's why, like, post in here instead of DMing someone. If you post it here, like, you'll have like all the TAs visibility instead of just one person. And then if you DM them, they can't get, like, paid for it. Please, like, please understand that, like, if you post it here, then only they'll be able to claim that money and all. So please post in here. And then read this if you have time. That's one announcement for how to use security help, or like questions towards it, or like how to ask questions, something like that. And then if you have any concerns, please DM me, or like you can DM me with concerns. If you have any concerns regarding that, that's fine. And then another thing I'm seeing is, like, I have seen somebody's commented, like, I spent 20 hours on the SQL injection. That's one. And I have seen another comments like, oh, I'm thinking to drop. So please don't let, like, one of the unit like make you take that type of decisions. If you can't finish like one unit, it's not going to affect your grades. The average, like from all 10 weeks you need is something like 65%. So if you have like 100% in one unit and like 30% in another unit, then it's going to be coming to as an average. It's not about, like, who's getting 100%. It's never about that. It's more about like learning concepts. So please concentrate on that. To be honest, like, cryptography, like for today's topic, I learned that in a semester, like a 6-month semester. And today we are doing it like within roughly a 1 or 2, 1.5 hours, right? So yes, there is somewhat like, there is a speedness to this, like however you are learning it. But yes, the concepts are valued. So just don't let that like one unit or one challenge take you down. So that's one suggestion I want to give you, like, no, please don't quit just based on like one single thing. And what else? I think that's all from my observation. Just wanted to say that. So moving on for today's topic, like before going that, I do have like quick chat on the resume. I often received like, questions on like how my resume should be, or like, what I should include in my resume, those type of questions. So that's the reason I wanted to cover this. Yes, obviously start with a meme, right? I'm good, so just hire me. So that would be my resume if you ask me. Okay, so seriously, first thing is like, the format. This is a one question I receive often, like, can I use the left one or can I use the right one? It doesn't really matter. You can use any one you like, as long as, like, you're making my eyes hurt, like using a very, very opposite colors next to each other, something like that, making it hard to read, something like that. If you're not doing that, then you're good. You can use any format. A couple of suggestions I want to give here is like, number one, include content that is like, you did a project, or you know about like SQL map now, or you're going to learn like hashcat, something like that, right? So use that, like either project, either that key, whatever it is, specify that in your resume and provide that clarity, like, I did this project, and give that one liner, and then I know these tools, and then give that tool description, like not description, but at least like name of it. So why it's important is like, okay, you applied for like an entry-level position. The first thing I'm going to read is like your resume, and I'm doing first round. before going any other questions, I would focus on your resume. I'll ask something from your resume. So if you add something you're already confident of, you can speak, right? Like that gives a different set of impression. And then also another thing, like you're applying for a security analyst role, but you added like a very different total opposite project, then in those situations it won't be helpful. So just see based on like, you're applying for like a developer role or analyst role, like what type of role you're applying, and based on that, like have that resume format. Another thing I see is like, people do have like multiple jobs. You'll add like from 2015 to 2016 I worked here, and then again like 2015 to 2017 I worked here. So that creates a confusion. If it is a parallel job, add it as a note. I worked 2 jobs at the same time, right? Like you can just add an asterisk and then state it like it's a parallel job. I used or I used to work at like 2 jobs at the same time. That's the second thing. Like definitely pay attention to the dates, pay attention to the details. Read it multiple times, but only you alone reading is like sometimes we don't catch those errors. So make it like, make multiple people read it so that like they'll find new things or like new suggestions, something like that. So that's it. Just wanted to touch on that based on the questions I received. Hope that's helpful. So another announcement now is CodePath is offering a technical interview prep course. It's starting on like May 31st. The deadline to apply for that is like May 9th. You will be learning about like in general interview prep related information during the lectures, and then algorithms, and then some practice exams type of things, plus labs. And then also you will be provided with a mentor who can review your resume, and then some feedback on your resume, plus like some internship opportunities. That's what this program is about. And then it's free, again, like no cost. It's going to be like a free course provided by CodePath. I have added a link, a 4 minutes video recording, like one of our program manager explaining that program, plus like any current CS students are eligible to apply or like welcome to apply. And then along with that, we do have like another software engineering course. So there is another link for that in the second bullet point. Either me or TAs are not going to be able to help you. I'm so sorry for that. Like with any type of admissions questions or like whatever the type of questions you have on this technical interview prep, we are not the right person. Please email first, like, go and read this like link from this link, like definitely read and understand like what is this program about. Once you figure out and you still have like more questions, definitely email like either admissions or Monique at CodePath. You have to contact them. If you ping me also, I have to go and ask them those questions. So I won't be able to help you. And same with like any cyber TAs. So definitely use these 2 emails as your support for technical interview prep or SWE, software engineering program. So that's one quick announcement. So let's go and start our cryptography. So today's topic or this week's content is about like cryptography, how it's used, what we're gonna learn, or like why we want to learn, something like that. So in the agenda, same content, like why cryptography, a quick overview, and in general, like how it works. It does have some attack mechanisms, plus like towards the end, I'll show lab and CTF. When you compare it with like SQL injection, this week is gonna be like simple, easy, and then a lot better. So yeah, please like, don't take that stress from SQL injection. This week is gonna be easy. So with that, let's start. Okay, cryptography. And actually, why should we care? Like, we'll talk a lot about like cryptography, cybersecurity, data classification, and then another thing, CIA. Like, what is this, right? Let's see, like why it's needed, why we want to learn about it, or like why anybody needs to learn about it. So whenever we talk about cryptography, it's incomplete without like Alice and Bob. It's some names somebody chose like in the golden old days. So what's happening here is Alice and Bob, like they just consider that like they work at like two different organizations, or like they're friends, or there are some people who just need to communicate like very regularly. What's happening here is like first Alice says, I am Alice, and then Bob receives that message. Okay, I'm Alice. He receives that and be like, okay, cool. Let's see like, what information we need to exchange. And then they'll share the details, like a sensitive information of such as like maybe some trade secrets, or maybe like some war secrets, like whatever it is, right? They're exchanging that information. That's the procedure. Let's just say like, every Monday morning, they'll just like meet and be like, oh, I'm Alice. And then immediately Bob be like, oh, okay, cool. Take this information, right? So that's what's happening here. Now we have a person, Trudy, because like the person is having like bad intention. So that's why like some evil type of background. So this person sees like what's going on and be like, oh, what happens if I just go say like, I am Alice? And obviously Bob is just looking for that one word, that who's Alice. And once Bob receives that like I'm Alice type of message, he starts sharing information, or there will be an information exchange between them. So there are like a lot of things wrong here. So just don't think like, in current real world scenario, like I'm more talking about like cryptography background, like why it started. So keep it that way. So there are a lot of things wrong here. Like one, there is no verification that like who's Alice, who's Bob. Anybody who knows that term, like I'm Alice, can go and talk to that person and like get that information. And there is identity theft. And then you can alter the information, like, Alice has to say something like, stop this, or like start this type of message. Trudy can come in between and change that information. There is no verification that like, this is the exact information we want to share it with Bob. Like there is nothing like that. And then some are the other way. You found the Trudy and asked Trudy like, hey, Trudy, did you do that? And Trudy be like, no, I never did that. I never went and meet Bob. Like there is no confirmation which says like, Trudy met Bob. So, and then the other one is like replay and repetition. When a cyber criminal can do this repetitive activity like again and again, right? So there is no stopping, like there is no any type of like stopping Trudy to do this like again and again, like it's going to happen and again and again, right? And then there is a possibility like when you use a insecure medium, anybody like Trudy can do this man in the middle type of attack. So I just wanted to touch upon this altering data and then reputation one more time. First, like you'll understand just with like identity theft and all, right? Like just with the word you will understand. So what is altering data is related to is like privilege escalation. So let's say you and me have like same privileges for CodePath resources. That is like you can see grades, you can manipulate the grades, you can change the grades, like whatever it is, right? Whatever I am able to do, you will be able to do as well. Like there is no privilege controls. So what would you do? Maybe you'll change your grades, or maybe you'll change your grades in a way like, okay, I'll be giving myself 100 and to everybody else I'll give 0, something like that. You'll do that. And then what's the way I can confirm, like, out of 200 students, to whom and I go like, did you do that? To whom I can ask, right? Like there is no logging. There is no verification that like, that can tell you that, or that can make you like, okay, I have to accept it. There is no way I can deny it. Like they have proof. So there is nothing like that, right? So that's more deals with repudiation. So we need something non-repudiation. Like to be clear, like you need something to overcome all these problems, like all these. First, like, you don't have a confidentiality. You don't have like a privilege or authentication type of like confirmation. and you don't have a guarantee that like somebody do something and then be like, oh, I have never done that, or maybe accepting like, oh, I did that, and then be like, you have a confirmation that like this is never going to happen in the future. So there is nothing like that, right? So we needed to solve this problem. So this is back in the day, like 1900s, 1800s, like whatever the old days. But think about it with the scenario of internet and then this internet life. So you need something stronger than this, right? So for that, the first thing we need is like a confidentiality, which is like information is not disclosed to unauthorized individuals and only shared with intended people. And then it's not manipulated, or like it's not misused in between. And it's be like whoever is authorized, only that person is allowed to see it. And then you're only allowed to see it. You can't manipulate it. Like your privileges are limited. You need to come up with like a practice which can overcome all the threats we have seen. So first one is like confidentiality. And the things we want to achieve using the confidentiality is like, number one, access controls. So you really need to differentiate like who's admin, who's user, who's employee, something like that. Authentication, whether you have like you're an authorized user or not, like whether you're saying like you have a username and you have a password, whether you can whether you're saying like, you know, I'm the valid user, whether you're saying whatever you're saying is like right or not. Let's clear that. Who's having the privileges to, okay, cool. So sorry for that. Okay. You shouldn't have like, you know, unauthorized privileges, like, you know, okay, let's go back. So you have like, you say like, I'm a valid user, I have a username and password. And once you enter it, we should have a mechanism that verifies that like you are the valid user. And then on top of it, like we should use encryption, which says like, you know, even if like whatever the scenario, you somehow the other way got that information, but you shouldn't be able to understand it. The data must be encrypted, and only valid or like intended people will be able to view it or like able to decrypt it. So so that's about like the confidentiality, like, you know, making sure that data is like not being used or viewed by unauthorized people. And next goes with integrity. Something wrong with this. Okay. So integrity is to deal with like, you know, you have a data and you're communicating with to like Alice to Bob. And while you're doing this, nobody who is not authorized should be able to first create the data itself or like modify the data or like, you know, delete the data. Like any of such privileges are not possible. And you can't do anything or like you can't alter those data. So how to achieve integrity? Again, like with authorization, testing and validating the data. Like first you have like data of 64 bits, but what happens like from H2 reaching from point A to point B, right? So what happened? So you shouldn't have like any data modifications from its like rest state to like transit state. And then how to achieve this like in a way is like, you know, first like using proper authorizations, testings and monitoring, and then using some hashing algorithms and then message writers. And lastly, availability, making sure like, you know, the data is available for the valid people, and whenever they need it, whenever you want to use it, it should be available. Like courses.codepath.com, right? Like, you know, whenever a user wants or whenever a student wants to go there and read it, it should be available. How to achieve it? Like, you know, keeping continuous monitoring, redundancy, and then you should have like incident response capabilities. That is like, you should have like logging capabilities, and then you should be able to investigate on those logs and all. Okay, why did we see actually like the CIA triad? Like in another way, CIA triad is like the core of security principles. So every company, every organization, they build on top of it, right? Like you will have valid information. It's up to you to decide, like, which is valid, which is invalid, right? Like, it's organization decides, like, my employee passwords are like top secret, and then my employee first names are like not top secret, like it's normal information. So they classify the data, they come up with like their own plan of like confidentiality, integrity, and then availability, making sure, like, to whom it's available or when it should be available, like all of them. So everything will be like built on top of it, like their structures, and then their security architecture, like the core of like security principles is like CIA triad. And then what it has to do with cryptography, right? So when it comes to cryptography, like first confidentiality, this used to like cryptographic algorithms, protocols used to confirm that like the information you're talking is like confidential, that is like, it's private and it's only shared with the intended people. And then we are using like proper encryption and then proper like decryption tools or like keys to achieve that. And then the second one is like integrity. How to achieve integrity using the cryptography. So you will use like, timestamps or like message digests or like some type of algorithms to make sure, like, okay, it's not tampered, nobody played with that data in between. And then third one is like authentication. So if you remember on the CIA, I talked about availability, but in here, cryptography talks about authentication, not availability. So what is authentication is like, making sure only authorized people are having access. And then you can't, once you did something, you can't deny it. And then you'll achieve it using like, digital certificates or signatures and whatnot. So when you say like CIA triad and then cryptographic CIA triad, like the only difference is like availability and authentication. So cryptography doesn't do directly much towards the availability. It's not like it has, to be honest, like we can say in a way that like it has nothing much to do with availability, but it will support the availability in indirect ways, that is like by providing confidentiality and integrity, but not directly. Like it doesn't do much with availability. So that's why here availability changes to authentication, not availability. So, okay, why we needed cryptography is to like, towards the end, achieve like these three things. So when we say like, okay, I need to achieve these three things, like how will you achieve it, right? So cryptography is a practice of like, studying techniques or like studying like a procedure to learn about like how to give a confidentiality or how to give a privacy and how to verify the authentication, how to verify integrity, non-repetition, like key exchange. Like you have a sensitive information, how can you change it between like exchange it between like party A and party B, and even beyond that? How can you achieve that? Cryptography is all about that. I don't know why I can't clear this annotation. Hold on one second. Okay, I still can't clear this. Can someone help me with this check mark? Okay, so when you want to like, okay, a crypto or a crypto system, like whatever it is, right? All you have is like, a sender and a recipient. Now, in a cryptographic terms, you want to exchange this plain text without being manipulated and without being used by an unauthorized party in between. So to do that, first what you will do is like, you will encrypt it using some algorithm, and then that becomes ciphertext. Whoever is having that code to decode this will be able to decrypt this and achieves that plain text, and the intention serves now. Like even though in between somebody like Trudy gets this ciphertext, Trudy can't like decode it and view it. So if you see this, or if you see on that image, you see like a plain text, ciphertext, encrypt, decrypt, different terminology, right? That's exactly where I'm going. Crypto uses its own terminology, its own words. So first, like cryptology. The cryptology is like, first, like you are making and breaking those secret codes. That is like those algorithms, those procedures, you're making them, or you're creating a procedure like how to encrypt something or how to decrypt something. And cryptography is like making that secret codes, whatever it is. And cryptanalysis is like, okay, you did something here. And once you did it, how can you now break it? Like, so why it's important is like, if you don't do that, somebody might figure out a way to decode it, right? So just to overcome that, you yourself first try to analyze it, like whether my crypto is strong or not. And towards the end, all these words, all these terminology, all this procedure becomes crypto. And it won't end here. Like, let's see a bit more terminology. First, a cipher or a crypto system is used to encrypt the plain text. So cipher or a key or an algorithm is something that's converting your plain text into ciphertext. Like you have plain text, like something like this in English, which is making it not too readable for everyone. Like only who has that key will be able to read it. The result of encryption is ciphertext, that is something like gibberish, where I can't read it, I can't understand it, like by immediately seeing it. And we decrypt the ciphertext to recover the plain text. So decryption is a process. So when you say encryption and decryption, it's a process. Like you're adding something to your plain text. You're using an algorithm. You're using a protocol to make it like non-reachable for everyone. So again, the key is used to configure a crypto system. So just think it in a way like it's an algorithm you're applying on top of your crypto system. And lastly, a symmetric key crypto system uses a single key for encryption and decryption. And then public key crypto system uses like two different keys, a public key and then a private key. We will be seeing these in detail in next slides, so just don't worry. A quick recap on what we have seen so far is like, first, cryptography. First, cryptography is like, is all about, or one of the main goal is to protect the information and making sure that only intended people are authorized or are able to read and process that information. And encryption. Okay, so cryptographic goals are like, mainly to achieve confidentiality and integrity. And it does have an underlying thing that is like, you also support authentication plus non-repudiation. And then encryption, the process of converting plain text into ciphertext. So to do that, you'll use like simple ciphers. Simple cipher is an algorithm, or you'll use like a combination of multiple complicated algorithms plus protocols, like whichever is available. So again, cipher, an algorithm to perform encryption or decryption. Simple words, you'll just convert it to like plain text to ciphertext, ciphertext to plain text, like you're just playing with it. So that's about the cipher. So it might be a bit heavy, but it's okay. We will be seeing everything in detail in the next slides, like step by step. So first ciphers, like everybody here would have heard of like the Caesar cipher, the simple cipher. So Juliet and Caesar, that story, right? Like they needed to communicate something like secretly or like without anybody else able to understand it, like we're able to understand it like in a way only they both can understand. So that's the one of the oldest and like well-known first cipher. What happened here is like Alice had some message and she wanted to send it to Bob, and then she don't want anybody to understand it. What she did is like she replaced A with B with C, and C with D. So what she did is like, in another words, she just moved like alphabets just by one rotation. So she just moved like one letter, and then maybe somewhere she added that key as a 1, and then Bob was able to like go back and then move it back to -1 and able to got it, like understand it, like she just sent it ABC, right? So shift cipher is like one of the simplest and easiest one, like with some of like alphabets are 26, so with some of like tries and errors you will be able to find that rotation key that person used, and then you'll be able to decode it. So with that, exactly, it's definitely easy to understand, easy to use. You just need to come up with like a rotation key. Once you have that key, you will be able to like, hey, move it by 1, move it by 2, like whatever it is. Once you move it, it's done. You have like your ciphertext. But at the same time, it's so easy to crack. Like you just have like 26 alphabets. You just need to figure out like a combination, or you just need to go like, it's not hard, right? Like it's just 26 results you'll have, and which one is making more sense, which one is like in plain text. So it's very, very easy to crack. So shift cipher is just like shifting alphabets, and it uses a standard key. It's not going to change. Like, you use like it's not going to change. You use exactly same, like for every word in your plain text with replaced with same key. So that's about the shift cipher. And the next one is substitution cipher. What happens in substitution cipher is, this is also one of the simple cipher, but instead this time, like instead of having like a dedicated key, you will come up with like a term. It says like, replace my A with X, B with T, C with L. Like similar way, you will come up with like a list for all the alphabets. Yes, when you compare this with Caesar cipher, maybe like a bit complicated, but it's still doable. Why it's still doable is like, let's say you have a sentence, like a summary, full summary. People see which is most repeated letter in that, like C, like let's say C is most repeated. And what is that C replaced here? Like they'll look for that. So they'll start like that, like with most repeated letters, and try to figure out. And towards the end, you'll come up with like a detailed summary in the plain text. So this is looked a bit complicated, like one of the old history one again, but in modern world, like seconds, like not even microseconds, you'll be able to crack it. And the last, the another one, like in the alphabets or substitutions, is like visionary cipher. So here what happens is like, you'll come up with a table, something like that, like ABC on the top side, and again ABCs on the other side. And you will replace this with like, here I just shifted, I mean, in this screenshot, they just shifted with like one alphabet, right? But you can come up with like any one of your procedures, and you'll have a plain text. Oh, sorry, let me go back. You'll have a plain text code path, and you'll generate your own key, like whatever it is. I just have like a TF small word. So you will repeat that TF multiple times until it reaches the length of your plain text. Once it reaches, what you will do is like, let's take this. So first, like my first letter is C, and it's replaced with T. So I'll just go with like C, and then I'll go to T, and then my first letter now will be V. So my first letter on the ciphertext will be V. And go to O, and then what is aligned for O and F, right? Like look for that letter, O, and then F, that's T. So you'll do T. And then same with like T again, like, you'll just go to D, and then T, and what is replaced with there, right? Like that's W. So you'll do that, and you'll continue doing that until you achieve your goal, or until you complete your plain text. So that's how this visionary cipher works. Again, yes, complicated than the previous ones, but not strong enough, because it's just using alphabets, right? You just need to go with like some combinations, and then use some program like in nowadays, and then which will be able to give you like some string which is having meaningful English response, or like which you will be able to understand, right? Something like that. Okay, let's clear everything, clear all joints. So yeah, that's how this cipher works. Before moving on, let's have some fun time. Okay, this first one, I'm gonna post it in the chat. try to decode that. I'm gonna give like only 1 minute, nothing much. So, okay, try to decode that and post it on the chat, like once you got it. If not, I'll give you a hint. It's one of the ones we have seen so far. And then you can totally use Cyberchef. If you're not familiar with, I think you all, just in case. You can give your input. Yes, hello fellow hackers, that's exactly one. And you can just use like, rot 13 here from the Cyberchef. It's just rotation, and you can increase or decrease like whatever it is until you find the right answer. So that's it. It's pretty simple one. So let's see the second one now. Okay. We haven't seen this today, but you guys are familiar with this. You used it like in previous challenges. It's not hash. Okay, wait. If you're talking about this road 13, I really don't know what's the key I used here. Let's go from 1. Yeah, it's just 3 for the first one. Okay, what did the hackers out of office message say? Yes, that's exactly right. If I copy that here, that's base 64 from base 64. Okay, that's what did the hackers out of office message say? That's all. Next one, like we need answer for that, right? So let's see. This one will be a bit tricky because like you don't have the code. I gave it away. Fine. So, okay, you are getting a hint to how to use it, like, who is providing the cyber codes. If you need answers, yeah, CodePath, but maybe try without space, just CodePath. You can again use the Cyberchef here also. You just need to give it something like that, and you can use the right cipher, and you can use CodePath as your key. Con phishing, yes. So that's visionary cipher. Let me post that. Okay, it's not typing. And in the key, you have to give CodePath, and then that's it. It will work. So yeah, that's all about the fun time. You can go and replay it, like, if you want to, but yeah, cool. So next one, another, like one of the simple cipher is like, we do have some others such as like @bash or Caesar cipher or like rot 13. Rot 13 is like pretty similar as like, Caesar cipher. It's just your number, right? Like, which is the number you're rotating with, something like that. And then one thing we haven't seen is like @bash. @bash is like similar to Caesar, but it first developed for like Hebrew alphabets. So that's the only different, and it's also like ancient one. They just developed it first like with Hebrew alphabets and then moved on. So next thing we wanted to learn a bit furthermore is like simple XOR or the executive R. It's also one of the simple substitution cipher, but the difference is like here, instead of you using it on alphabets, you will be using it on like bits and bytes, like the binary data. And then all your testing is like it again as like a truth table. You'll have like two statements, either one of them true or both of them are wrong, or like both of them are true, something like that. So 0 0, like because it's binary code, and once you have like two inputs as zeros, then your output will be like 0. And you have like 1 0 and 1 1, your output will be 1. And 1 0, okay, 1 and 0, your output will be 1. And you'll have like 1 and 1, your output will be 0. It's more like again a statements like, the sky is cloudy or the sky is blue. So one of them is true in this situation, right? Like it's either be cloudy or it's either be like blue, or maybe both. So it's just like that. Like you just have like two statements and you're testing against them, like whether it's true or not. So only difference is like, instead of doing it on the plain text itself, this time you will be doing it in the bits. So how it will be is like, first you will have like some, maybe whatever the code, right? Like hex, base 64, or English alphabets, like whatever it is, you will convert them into binary first, and that's your plain text. Once you have it, you will have a secret key. In general, when you are like, encrypting anything using XOR, the plain text length must match with secret key length. You can repeat it like after this. If I have still further more plain text, I'll just repeat it like 111 000 11, something like that. And then you'll run this against this table, the truth table. The truth table will be standard for every XOR operation. So you'll just run against it. And once you have 0 and 1, it's like 0 and 1, your answer will be like 1. So something like that. And then you need to use the same secret key to decrypt it. Like in a way, if you encrypted something using XOR, I should have the exact secret key to achieve that plain text. So you'll just go through the same process. Like now you send me this ciphertext, and I know the key. We both shared first. And then once you send this to me, then I'll give that secret code here, and I'll run against the truth table one more time, and I'll achieve the plain text. So that's about the XOR. You will use some challenges in the CTF, so that's why I just wanted to touch upon that. Okay. So far, whatever we have seen is like something simple, something to do with like ciphers and all, or maybe like a basic encoding data. Let's see something about the encryption. So here you still have like a similar story, like you still want to share like some information that is supposed to be confidential, and you don't want anybody to see other than your intended users. So this time, instead of using like something online available, like or something easily decodable, let's put it that way, like a Caesar cipher, something like that, you will use an algorithm, or you will use something stronger. Only person who has that key will be able to decode that. Like if I don't have that key, I won't be able to decode it. So you are planning it something like that. So you have, again, plain text. You have a secret key, and that secret key is based upon like one of the algorithm or one of the mathematical program, like whatever it is, and you convert it to ciphertext, and you send that ciphertext to me. And to decrypt it, I have to use the key and decode it, and then achieve the plain text. So that's about the encryption. So I wanted to touch upon like, encoding and encryption. They are not same. So when you talk about like, the end goal or the achievement is like somewhat looks the same. That is like you have a plain text and you're converting into ciphertext. It looks same. But in here, you will be able to easily figure out that scheme. Like if you use base 64 or something simple like MD5 hash, like whatever it is, right? You have online tools available, and you will be able to like just decode it like in a matter of seconds. And when it comes to encryption, it's more about like a secret key. Only intended parties are known. It's not like it's not shared with like everybody. It's not available publicly. I mean, not the name. Like if I say RSA, you will be like, oh, I know that name, right? It's not like that. It's the key. The key is not available to the public. So we still use like encoding and encryption both. So in scenarios where you need to get back like that exact, your verification is just against data integrity. I just wanted to see like whether the same bits are traveled to the other side or not. You'll be using encoding. And then you really want a super sensitive information to go to the other side, then you'll use encryption. So it just depends on how you're using, when you're using, and what type of use case you have. So main goal here is like just to understand they both are not same. They are two different algorithms. And for encoding side, you have like URL encoding, base 64 or ASCII, something like that. And for encryption, you have like AES, DES plus RSA, blowfish. Like you will have like different mathematical algorithms, mechanisms available. So let's see a couple of like effective encryption methods. Just names here: symmetric key, asymmetric key, hashing, and then applied. So let's see what it is in detail, like one by one. Okay, couldn't. Yeah.
Sorry, I think we have a few questions. One hand raised and a couple about hashing and encoding and whether they're the same thing.
We will be covering them in the future. Next slides are about that. Okay. If not, I'll touch on the chat after this session. Okay, so first of all, like, symmetric key algorithms, right? Like it's one of the encryption algorithm. So same old story. We have like Alice, and Alice has her own key and message, like whatever it is. And Bob is also having the same key. Because they both have the key, they will be sharing that information with each other. And because they have key, they'll be able to decode it and view it in the plain text and all. So now who is not happy? Trudy, because even though Trudy, like somehow the other way, was able to intercept the traffic and was able to see that everything is in cipher and she can't get this like key. But what if Trudy got it like, at the exact time when they are exchanging those keys, those secret keys? Or she started intercepting the traffic, like when they were exchanging the keys. Now Trudy is also having the key. So this communication is like no longer secure. Trudy is happy, obviously, but we are not. So where I'm going with this is symmetric key algorithm uses same key for both encryption and decryption. You have one type of algorithm and you will use that same algorithm for encoding and decoding. And once you have that key, you will be able to get like, encrypt the data, decrypt the data, read the information and everything. So it has its own advantages. Like symmetric key algorithms are like wherever you implement them, it's like super quick, very fast. But the problem is like key distribution. If you use this key distribution through like an unsecured channel, then it's gone, right? Like the other person is also having the key, so the information is no longer secure. So there's no point now encrypting and decrypting. Before saying how can we overcome this, like I do want to touch on like a little about types of algorithms. You would have heard of it like data encryption standard or like advanced encryption standard, something like that. So these both are like block ciphers. So first, like, DES, what happens here is like you'll have a plain text, you just divide it into like 64-bit blocks, and on each block you'll implement a key and you'll encrypt it, and you'll just repeat that procedure. But this is not strong enough with our modern like computers and capabilities. It's cracked in 2000. But if you do that procedure 3 times, it's still secure. So it's still in use. Like it's used in some other areas even nowadays, like not just alone, but yes, it's still in use if you use it as a 3DES or if you implement the same process 3 times. Again, goes with like advanced encryption standard. Here also, it's the same procedure, but your bit length is longer, like 128, 192, or 256 bits, like based on the data you need. And then in here, instead of just like, blocking or like, dividing it into blocks and then implementing the key, you will also implement like, substitution to the bytes and also like shift those rows on each rotation to make it like more complicated to crack it. We don't necessarily need it, but just wanted to touch on that. It's okay if you don't want to go through or like, understand this algorithms or like mathematical details behind it. It's cool, it's fine. So that's two algorithms for like symmetric key algorithms. And let's see the asymmetric key algorithm. So asymmetric key or the public key, both are same. What is happening here is first, Bob is having like a public key and private key. Bob shares his public key with Alice. So when Alice is encrypting something, she uses Bob's public key to encrypt it and encrypts that and sends to Bob. Once Bob wants to read it, Bob needs his own private key, which is not shared with anybody, should be used to decrypt it. And once it is decrypted, yes, you got the plain text. So here what's happening is like you're using two different keys. Even though like, some other the way this key got like captured, you still need this private key to decode it. You can't just get anything from this, right? This information, you can't really go back from here. Like, in the half in middle, you can't really go back. You definitely need this private key to decrypt the information and use it. So in real life, we use this a lot, like, this asymmetric or like public key algorithms, and which makes like, our symmetric key algorithm secure as well, how we'll see in the next slides. So here what you're doing is like what you're achieving is like first confidentiality and then authentication, that is like, this person is authorized and have the right key to view it, and then repudiation or like against to the repudiation, that is like once Bob views it, Bob's signature, or like, once Alice signs, her signature will be there, so she can't deny it by saying like I didn't send it. So we will be achieving everything or like all of these from here. It is super secure, obviously, with the keys and all, or the procedure it's using, or the algorithms it's using. Only the problem here is like it's slow. It's not as fast as symmetric encryption. And if you want to send like bulk data, it can take forever. Like you can't really send it quickly. Key things to remember here is like public key is shared between two parties. Private key is private. It's only with the person who owns it. That's all. Everything else is like, somewhat like straightforward from the slide. I don't want to touch that again. So let's look the applied one, right? So how can we, which one to use? We actually use both of them. We use asymmetric keys to establish the secure connection. So if you know like all this online shoppings or like buying something from online are possible because of this invention of this asymmetric keys, like now you know that your communication is like secure. So that's the main reason it's happening, or the e-commerce boom happened. First, what you do is like you secure your communication, or use you establish a secure communication using asymmetric key. Once you have it, but you still need to send the bulk data, or you need to exchange the keys, right? You will do that using symmetric keys, because you already have a secure communication. So your data is already encrypted. Even though if somebody was able to get it, like the data doesn't mean anything to the other person. So the combination or using like multiple encryptions is the stronger mechanism here. That's one. Where we use it in real life, right? So everybody knows like HTTP protocol. That's the one makes this web communications possible and whatnot. So you'll have a user. You're the user. You're trying to log in, like google.com, linkedin.com, like whatever it is you're trying to log in. You will use a username and password. And then once you use a HTTP protocol, like in that website, if you intercept your request and see, your request will be like, even now it will be like in the plain text, username and password. But once it is leaving your connection and going to the server, it will still go as like a plain text. And if somebody intercepts in between, right, like between your network to the server network, somebody intercepts, they'll be able to see it as like a plain text. And then now the person is having the password. So how can we overcome that? There is a protocol or like combination of multiple protocols or algorithms, that is like HTTP plus TLS, which uses both public key and private key. So when you are establishing a connection, it uses like the public key. And once you start sending like a bulk emails or whatever, it uses like, sometimes it even uses base 64 to encrypt the data, like the very, very basic encoding mechanism. But once, what happens now is like, once this request is leaving your network, it will be encrypted. Now, if somebody intercepts in between, like beyond your network, it will be gibberish. Like everything will be encrypted using this TLS protocol. And the other person, like if somebody was able to intercept the traffic in between and capture something in between, they won't be able to see it. They will be able to see it, but they won't be able to understand it. And then because they don't have the valid key, only server has it, because server established a connection with you. So they won't be able to decode it. So for fun time, you can, like, while you're logging to your gmail.com or like security@codepath.com, like whatever it is, intercept that traffic and see that login. That's the exact login you will see if you are using a HTTP traffic. But if you use the HTTPS, that will be encrypted, and then it's not going to be same. So I don't think there is a way, like, I can show a man in the middle at this time, but it serves as an example, like how HTTP traffic will look. So definitely try for your login. Definitely don't share it with anybody if you're using for any sensitive passwords. So it's one of the example where we use like a combination of both symmetric and asymmetric encryption. Again, hashing. So the question, right? Like I did capture full, but so it's one of the encryption, but it's not like same as encryption. So once you hash something, there is no way you can decrypt it. So in the previous algorithms where we have seen something like, you have a symmetric, asymmetric, in whatever the way, you have a plain text, but once you have the right key, you will be able to decode it. But in hashing, it's not the same. Once you hash it, you can't really come back to the plain text. So what happens here is like, okay, you have usernames and passwords, and you want to save it in your database. What you will do is like, first you will encrypt it, and you will add like a salt. So the procedure differs, like somebody will first add the salt. Salt is just a string, like a random string. So you either first add a string and encrypt, or like encrypt and add the string, like whichever the way. I think encrypt and add the string is the right method. So you will add, like, you'll encrypt using like maybe SHA-1 or like whichever the stronger algorithm you feel, you'll encrypt it, and you'll add a random string to it. And then you store this value to the database. When this person logins again, the verification will be against this hash, not directly against to the plain text. That shouldn't be the practice. If somebody is doing it, like, that's definitely wrong. So why this is used, right? Like why hashing is used. Let's say you used SSNs, like, for whatever the service you're having, SSN or credit card number, like whatever it is, you're storing it in the database. And in this situation, let's say you're using one of the symmetric key algorithms, like AES or maybe like TES, like whichever it is. So all I need to decode, like now in an unauthorized way, I got access to this database. All I need is like, to decode that key. Sometimes you might store it in some other place, because for easily decodable options, or like online, I have options to decode them, right? I can use any online services, AES decoder, something like that. Now I have everything, like all those credit card numbers in plain text. So to avoid that, you will use hash, because like there is no immediate way or like easy way to decode that hash. MD5 is crackable. We'll see like how it will be cracked and attack mechanisms. But I don't think SHA-1 is cracked. So use a stronger algorithm, use a stronger salt or like stronger mechanism. That's all recommended when you're storing like, valid information or storing valid records into the database. So mostly hashes are used when you're storing some information to protect the data at rest. So something is in it's not data in transit, that is like it's not data in between like one client and server, it's more of like data at rest, like you're just storing it at your database, something like that, right? In those situations you will use hash algorithms. I'll get back to that question if that is not clarified, but let me complete the slides. So the next question, right? Like, hey, we talked symmetric, we talked asymmetric, we talked hash, we even talked about Caesars, like shift ciphers. Which one I should use? So that totally depends on your use case. You just have like, you're trying to deal something with like integrity. You just wanted to make sure like, I send the 64 bits and I wanted to make sure that all those 64 bits were received on the other end. If your goal is something like that, you can use any simple like encoding technique. But you really want to store something to the database and you don't want anybody to decrypt it. So you'll use some type of hashing. A stronger hash depends on your need. So everything here depends on like, what type of information you're seeing, you're storing, or you're saving, or you're playing with. And then what is your goal? Are you want to achieve confidentiality? Are you want to achieve integrity? Or are you want to achieve like authentication, repudiation, like whatever it is? So your decision is based on what you're protecting, what you want to do, what is against you're playing with. So that is like your threats, right? So it depends on that, like your choices depends on that. So let's see a meme before ending or before going to the attack mechanisms. So this is a fun one, like, somebody is calling with like a string or a ciphertext instead of calling it as like a first name, because that's their procedure to protect user information. So yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking. It depends on how you want to protect something. Finally, even though like, we have stronger algorithms, we have stronger procedures, there are attacks against cryptography or cryptographic procedures. One of the thing is like, brute force attack. The one I was referring to, MD5 hash, right? So what's happening here is like, you'll just have like a string, like username or password, something like that. And my password is like just Sishma, and I MD5 hashed it and stored it in the database. What these people are doing here is like, the attackers, they'll just choose all those strings like that, either using like, most common used passwords or like well-known passwords, like whichever the way, they'll just MD5 hash that and then submit it to the password field. So that's more of like a brute force attack. And then that's why MD5 is cracked, because like it gave a valid combination for like for one username to or one password to the hashing. So that's just one example, but it's easily decodable with like, valid brute force. You will be able to regenerate that hash that is exactly matching with your database. And the other one is like dictionary attack. So in here, it's what's happening is like, you'll just take like, it's exactly like from dictionary or whatever, you'll just combine those word lists, like apple, banana, or something like that. You'll just combine them and you'll start encoding them and submitting it in the password field, something like that. So that's dictionary attack. Whenever there is a word list that's matching with that encrypted message, then it decodes it. So that's why we shouldn't use a password that is like a combination or like something is very well known, like quirky, something like that. You should have your own like randomly generated and as lengthy as possible, and then use special characters, numbers, capital letters and all, which makes these attacks slow, that makes like that hash generation slow and makes it like not decodable easily. So lastly, quick recap, just remember encoding is not encryption, and it's different. The use cases are different, even though procedure looks same, the use cases are different. And then where you use, how you use differs. And then in cryptography, like the cipher, the key, however you use it, it's all doing is like, it's an algorithm, it's a mathematical generated calculation, which is doing like an encryption and decryption. Symmetric key uses a string of data to encrypt, same key to encrypt and decrypt, and public key or asymmetric uses a single key for encrypting and different key for decrypting, like public key for encrypting and private key for decrypting. And lastly, if you want to detect something, right, like if you will be using them in the today's like labs and assignments, so that's why I just wanted to show this. For base 64, the length is like always multiple of 4. I think we don't have any base 64, but it's fine. So it's like, it will be either the length of your base 64 string is like either 8, 16, 24, 32, something like that, which is easily divisible by 4. So that's one hint. And then it uses only like alphabets, either cap or small, and both 0 to 9, and only these 3 special characters, nothing beyond that. And one example here. And visionary cipher, it's because it's a substitution for alphabets, it only uses alphabets. Once you start, like, let's say you use Cybersecurity and you tried something like rotation, or like you tried with all alphabets combinations, then pretty good chance that it could be like visionary cipher. And then hex doesn't have any value greater than F. So that's another hint. It's just numbers plus like alphabets before up to F. And I did added some resources like crypto learning if you're interested. And then for this unit lab and assignment, we can use like only this is sufficient, like, Cyberchef is more than sufficient to do all the labs and assignment. For 5.07, you will understand like it's AES encryption, but it doesn't really work for like other websites. So that's why I wanted to give this. Other than this, like, I don't think so you need any other URLs, but if you need something else, I will be definitely providing them. And then I do have a book. Cryptography is like, it's a vast subject. If you're interested, definitely go and read. So now let's see the questions. Okay. So where is the lab? Okay, I did added like lab rubric as same as like last time, like which are the challenges are required and which is stretch. For lab, only one of them is stretch, like the last challenge. For CTF, you need 100 points and possible points are like 250. One thing you should observe here is like, there is no 5.09. So don't search for it. There is no challenge. It's just like 9 challenges for this week. This is the last CTF. For unit 6, you don't have a CTF. So this is the last CTF you're going to do with the CTF platform. So let's see first like lab challenges. I'm not going to solve all of them or most of them, something like that. Let's see. I will be providing hints like last time. But this week is like pretty simple, so please don't worry. So the first one is insecure cryptographic storage based on the looks. So let's see. Cyberchef, where are you? Okay, it's here. How's this looking? Like, anybody wants to take a guess, like what is this could be? Base 64, yes, 100%. This is what I was referring to, like it's 84. 84 is like a multiple of 4, that's 1. And it's having like caps and smalls plus like only numbers and equal sign. Once you decode this from base 64, you're gonna get this. I don't wanna spoil that fun for you, so that's simple. This insecure cryptographic storage challenge 1. It says easily broken Roman cipher. When you hear Roman cipher, which one is coming to your mind? Roch, Caesar, yes, exactly. So you'll get it very quickly. So not going to do that. Next one, insecure cryptographic storage challenge 2. So here you will be provided with an instruction which says like, hey, this is one of the, you need a secret key to decode it, right? I'm not seeing anything on the screen in front of me. So first things first is like inspect the page. Once you inspect it, definitely look for everything that's in detailed and all. Once you go to the script after this content, you will be able to see some program here which says there is something talking about the key, and then there is like a key itself. Oh wait, let's edit as HTML. So there is a key itself, and then also if you start looking into it, you'll be able to see, you'll be able to see there is something testing against the output. So I have a key, and then I have my code is on just English alphabets. What cipher is coming to your mind? Visionary, yes, that's the one. You can use Cyberchef. I'm not going to do this again, but just want to show. So you can still use Cyberchef, and then you can use Visionary decode, but you need the key. That key is in here in the script. So just pay attention to the details you're seeing, submit it, and you'll get it. That's about insecure cryptographic storage challenge 2. The next one is PGP. So PGP is used in the real world. It's one of the asymmetric key encryption. It's so you have this plain text, and you want to encrypt that using this, whatever the method you're seeing, or whatever the key you are seeing here. And once you do this, you will get your encrypted message. Again, you can still use the Cyberchef, you don't really need to go beyond that. You can just give it here as your plain text, and then PGP. Now you're encrypting. Remember that it's asking you to encrypt something, so that's why you're encrypting it. And then you have to give everything, from end to end. You have to copy paste everything as your key, then only it will work. So you just have to copy that and then paste it here, and then that will give you your output. You have to submit that as your key. I know it will be a bit tricky, which part to copy. So that's why I wanted to show. So once you paste that here, you will be able to get your message. The last stretch one here. So what is this asking you to do is you need to give a plain text, or you need to give something to decrypt this. It's a stretch one, and it's a kind of tricky one. So that's why I really want to show this. Otherwise, it's fine. So once you decrypt this, okay, it's just saying this crypto is not strong, that's maybe a key, something like that. Definitely pay attention, or play with it, or try to spend some time on it. But it's actually, there is a hint that's not available to you, and there is no other way to work on it. So that, let's see. It kind of looks like, base 64. So you'll try to decode it using base 64. From base 64, where is it? But it's still nothing, right? It just gave you something very, very weird. If you use a website which is only website, it works. I'll give you afterwards. It's from base 64 to hex, something like that. Then it will work, but not in this situation. You have to use it as a combination, hex. Wait, to hex. So it's converted to hex. Once you start playing with it, from base 64 to hex, something like that, this is the only place you will be able to go with this challenge. There is no other hints, there are no other easy methods to do it. One hint we are missing here is it's used an XOR operator. So when you talk about like XOR, and when you have like some key to submit, and it's hexed and then it's XOR'd, like something like that, what happens, right? Like when you give an alphabet and then XOR it, or if you give like some number and XOR it, if you do XOR against something, A and then XOR like a key like 00, and then it's giving you some alphabets, right? That's exactly what happens here. You need to do reverse of it, like first from hex to base 64. Like you need to do, now you did like from base 64 to hex, right? You have to do reverse of it from hex to base 64. So let's do from hex to base 64. And then the key you need to give here is like zeros, because anything against 0 will give you like the exact, the same like plain text, right? Like 0 is not going to test anything against it, like something like this. If you have an alphabet A and then you're testing against 0 and you still get like alphabet A. So that's exactly what happening here. So you're going to run against like a XOR against like, just with zeros. You will have some type of output like this. Take it and then be like, submit it here, decrypt. This is it got it, but it just looks incomplete, right? Like what happens if I increase the length of it? Let's do furthermore, decrypt. Okay, that's the key you need to get. And then you just need to increase the length of it. And when you're submitting it, all of them should be capitals. Like if you use the small letters, something like that, it's not going to work. The XORing is the key here, and we don't know like what type of XORing is used, and then how the hex is like divided into 2 XOR strings, something like that. And then that's why you're using a reverse of it. Like you're trying something against like what happens if I just give zeros, right? Because they encoded, or like the script they gave you is like something like a base 64, which is like hex to base 64. So that's why we are doing in reverse mechanism, something like that in this one. So that's it about the labs. So yes, exactly. It's simple than SQL injection. So please don't take any more stress. Let's see the CTF because it opened this first. So let's see this. So in the CTF, like, it's just asking you to XOR these. You can use any online XOR calculators, and you have like a value of A, value of B. And then like, I'm not going to use right values, but if you just give like 0, 1, 2, 3, and then 0, 2, 3, 4, or something like that, calculate XOR, and it gave you that XOR, right? So that's exactly will be your CTF code, but don't forget to wrap that under CTF tokens, like something like that, star CTF. For other than this, like, in this week, the beginning ones, right, like 0, 1 and 0, 2 will be simple. And then if you need for 5.4 and 5.5 XOR decoding, you need like a program to XOR decoding. I will be able to posting that as a note. If you need it, use it. If you want to play with it, definitely play with it. And then, yeah, I think that's all about this week's CTF. So just wanted to show that because I wanted to avoid confusions or questions from SQL injection. So that's why. In here, you will be just taking the strings or like whichever is in front of you, and you'll be decoding it and you'll be submitting your CTF. I hope that's clear. It's not like there will be any link or like you're going somewhere or some other location. It's not like that. At least up to like 5.07, you don't really need to go anywhere. It's just from here, you'll just decode it and submit your key. So with that, I am gonna stop talking and then we can start lab before, yep, that's all. I'll try to look into the questions, and then do let me know if you need any clarifications or anything else is needed. Otherwise, we can open up breakout rooms for roughly 30 minutes. Hello, I saw some hands raised. Joy and Adrian. Okay, let me unmute you. You have option to unmute, Adrian.
Oh, hi, thank you. Um, so I have a question about the hashing.
Yes.
I think at some point you mentioned that when you have like a plain text file and you send it as a request, right? Let's say you're sending it to a database. The database is not actually storing the password that you're sending, right? It's sending it's actually storing a combination of the plain text file that you have converted into some kind of like MD5 or is it or SHA-1 algorithm, and then you add some salt into it, right? And then you with that salt you convert it again into another MD5 and SHA-1, and that's what you're storing in the database.
You did a double encryption, but so mostly that's the standard or like recommended process instead of storing like, so you need a verification against users, right? Like somebody is saying like let's say I'm logging into Gmail and I use my username and password. How can Google verify that I'm a valid user? There must be something to validate like my username and password, right? So in this situation, they don't directly store that password. Instead of storing that password, they'll do like a hash of the password. And then every time I log in, they check against that hash instead of just checking directly or storing directly with the password. So that's what happens. And then usually you encrypt and you add a salt. Salt is just another string. And then you store that like the final value. Recommended is like, using something like a stronger encryption mechanism. Yeah, like SHA-1, SHA-256, something like that. If you use a salt, then it makes harder to guess. So it will be like better instead of just encrypting and storing. So yeah. Hi, Joy. Let me unmute you. Where are my participants? Okay, cool. Go ahead.
Yes, hi, hello, Shishna. Uh, Questions regarding, okay, first one is the lab with the challenge too. I know just now you said that one's XOR, but how can you tell, like based on looking at the question, how can you tell it's a XOR encryption?
Is it lab challenge 2 or CTF challenge 3? So for if you're asking about the lab last one in secure cryptographic storage challenge, it used to have a hint, like once you click on the hint, it just says like it's XOR, but it's no longer have it. So that's why I wanted to say it like outrightly that like, hey, it's XOR. It's not like, I don't want you to waste your time, right? That's one. If you're talking about the lab in secure cryptographic storage challenge 3, we used to have hint options on the security shipped platform. It's not there anymore. So based on that, I said. And then for CTF, it's already stated on the top, like the ones I showed, right? Like 5.03, 5.04, all of them are already stated on the top, like it's XOR, something like that. So you don't really need to do anything to find out. Yeah, it's there, it's already stated.
Hi, I was actually in my room and no one was there in room 26. So I had to leave that meeting and join this general room.
Did you say room 26?
Yes.
Okay. It seems that there was one student in room 26. Are they not responsive?
Oh, I mean, when I was in that room, no one was in room 26. Like no one was there in that room. Maybe someone
Yeah,
recently
there's one
joined it.
now.
Yeah, somebody just joined, looks like, so yeah, we can move. If you want, you can go back to the same room, or if not, like we'll move you to the other room.
Yeah, I mean, I would like to go to room 26. I'll just speak with my
Sure,
board
sure.
members. Thank you.
Hey, Dheeraj, do you need help going back to the room or anything else?
What? I need to leave the meeting and I would be transferred to the room. I mean, I didn't see an option to be transferred to that room. That's why I'm sorry.
Should be at the bottom to right of
Yeah.
the Zoom window.
Yep, I see it now. Thank you, guys.
Sure, yeah. Hi everyone, welcome back. Hope you enjoyed lab and assignment time. Well, everyone is coming back. I don't know, the person who developed CTF is inspired from the song or what, I don't know that, but you'll see 5.06 named something like Wu-Tang, and then 5.07 has like Protect Your Neck. I found a YouTube song, like our album song, felt interesting, thought of sharing. So here. Okay, now that everyone is back, I'll be posting some resources as usual. And this week or next week, you'll be learning about user authentications. As I said, this week is the last week for your CTF. Next week won't be any CTF. It's just, this week it's just lab and CTF, and then somewhat better than SQL injection, I suppose. And finally, reminders, please don't forget to complete the survey. We value your feedback. You can find it from the session overview, session survey. If not, I'm posting it in the chat. So please post it or please complete it. And once you've done it, please feel free to drop off. See you on the next session. I'm going to keep on survey slide. So for 5.04 and 5.05, I'm going to post it onto your announcements channel using a Python program. So you can use that. I do think there are other programs available. I'll try to find them if you want. So Aaron, is there a reason why SQL map didn't work with most of the CTFs? If there is no SQL injection is possible, like, with the fields you're submitting, right? You're just submitting a URL and SQL map couldn't detect, like that pen testing couldn't detect any injections, then it would say no. Some of them developed in a way that, like, you have to do manual testing, something like that. You don't really need SQL map for except few, like maybe is it 4.10, 4.13, 14, something like that. Except those few, you don't really need. And then it's really differing from person to person, like, it's maybe version or something. I don't know what's the problem there. The amount of keys you need to give, right? Like for me, all I needed to give is like -u when I am submitting URL, and it's pulling all the available fields, and I can select like the available fields that I want it to be tested, something like that. For others, the keys are differing, like somebody needed to submit URL and then some other keys on top of it. So try SQL map help first, and then see what all the keys you are seeing, what all the keys it's asking you to submit. Like when you are testing URL, which key is asking you to submit, right? You have to do something like that. And if you test on a couple of CTFs, it's might going to tell you that there is no SQL injection possibility, even though there is. It could be like, it's just developed in a way it shouldn't be detected. So it's hard to say at this moment. if you have something like, exactly like 4.01, it didn't work for SQL map, something like that. If you have something like that, do send me. I'll test as well. But otherwise, I really don't have like a straightforward answer. What for lab 5 when I try to submit the word? Okay. Hege, you can send me that code you're trying to submit. DM me. I'll verify that for you. Okay, Aaron, I'll look into that. Possible, but you can submit after papers and URL also, right? So. Sure, yeah. The SQL map is an interesting one, right? Like I even play with like some normal URLs. So definitely, yes, don't stop. It's just hard to say like which part it didn't work without knowing much. I'll also test myself. I'll get back to you, Aaron. Ramcharan, thank you. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining, everyone. Please complete the survey if you haven't. And if you have, feel free to drop off. See you all in the next session. And then see, Adrian, you raised your hand. Let me unmute you. Participants. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi again. About last night's assignment, I think I did all of the required ones, and I literally finished like a minute or two before the midnight. And then this morning I looked at the grades, and it's showing like everything's fine, but it says that my assignment was handed in late. So I'm wondering, since I didn't actually finish all of them, would I be able to keep working on them?
If you have done like required ones, you're good. And then if you submitted like before 12 a.m. or like 11:59 p.m. PST, then you're good. You can ping Roke or like support just in case if you feel like it's detected wrongly, then we can fix it. So Roke from our operations team, right? And then for the second part of the question, you can still continue working on them. I don't think they'll be considered towards the grade, but it will be very good learning, right? Like for you
Right.
to understand more on the SQL injection. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, because when I look at the submission, it says that that I actually submitted it by 10 p.m. PDT, and the deadline is 10:59, and it says complete late, and I was just confused.
Okay, it's on the PTT daytime time zone. So yeah, you have to ping Roke and then let Roke verify. I don't know much about it, so yeah. If you do, you know how to DM Roke?
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I have been in contact with him on the Slack channel.
Sure.
Thank you.
Awesome. Cool. Yeah. Okay. Question. Doing all the SQL stuff made me wonder, so it is illegal to do this on the website without authorization. The intention of so Emilio, I'm really sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, but sure, yes, but obviously it's illegal if you're not doing it through a bug bounty program, something like that. So all you need is like just a HackerOne account, right? Like if you're using like a HackerOne program for the bug bounty, either Bugcrowd or HackerOne, like whichever it is, whichever the platform you want to, you can just register there. Once you register, you will just see like, recently I tested something with Google. Google just lists something like, these all are allowed websites. And if you test something on like this Google form, it's invalid, something like that, they'll really state it. And it says like, which is within the law, which is against the law, something like that. So you can totally definitely do it like, using registered way. That's a white hacker way. Don't do it illegally. I mean, it's not necessarily they would be detecting immediately, something like that, but it's not ethical. So yeah, for curiosity, just do with HackerOne. So submissions, unless they have bug bounties. So what they do with it, right? Like once you report it, is depends on the company. Like some people will have the bandwidth to fix it, will have the privileges to, or like whatever, right, resources to fix it. So they'll fix it, and then every company will have their own data classifications. Like if you find something vulnerable for SQL injection, whether they're calling it as like critical, high, low, medium, all that is depends on that company. And then they'll pay you based on it. And some of them will be like, oh, we don't consider this even a vulnerability. It's not going to disclose anything sensitive. And then they'll just ignore it, or like we say like, oh, we are declining it. So, but you still get some response once you report it, right? Whether they're accepting it, declining it. Once they decline it, you won't get any money. But once they accept it, they'll go through like the classification, low, medium, high, critical, something like that. If it is low, they'll pay like minimum, whatever the minimum for that company, like $300, $500, something like that. Like goes up and up with the severity. If you find something super critical, then they may pay up to like 25,000, even more, some companies. So yeah. Okay, so I do have 2 more hands up on my screen. So let's unmute. Julian.
Hi, Sushma.
Hi.
Can you hear me? Okay. Yeah. Hi. So I had, I guess, kind of a technical challenge. It was dealing with SQL injection challenge 5, where I wanted to use Kali. I tried to follow the walkthrough that you provided for us, but I kept hitting a wall when I had to basically paste. I had to like paste that token into Kali, and like in your example, you used your terminal, but I didn't understand how to, I guess, sort of connect Kali to my to like basically my computer's desktop and being able to like read files and yeah.
Got it. Which one you're using? Are you using a VirtualBox or Docker?
I was using VirtualBox, yes.
Okay, so I'll send you steps. I think it's maybe part of Unit 7 lab, like how to make your host communicate with your virtual machine. We'll send you some steps.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. Yeah, that's where I kind of hit the wall, just making that connection and then finishing. Sure, yeah. So please, thank you.
Okay, cool. Let's unmute yourself. Hey, Yusuf.
Hello. I have a couple of questions. There are actually 3. And the first is, I finished my assigned work and I would like to finish the rest of the extra credit for 4, 5, and 6, and so on and so forth for the lab. I'm assuming I have until Sunday night. Is that correct?
Once you submit required challenges, then it's done. Like your submission is already considered. If you submit something extra credit afterwards, right, then it won't be considered as like a new submission, something like that, or it's not going to take it as like during extension period, like for extra credit ones. but if you missed the deadline itself, right? Like if you haven't submitted anything, or like if you have submitted only like 30 out of 60 points, something like that, then yes, you are on the extension period.
So what you're saying is if I didn't submit at all, I will be able to use the extension, but if I only submit extra credit, I will not be able to.
Yes.
So I guess my issue here is yesterday night, it kind of Shepherd was down the last 3 hours or so. So is there a way I could have the extension? I mean, I will do it anyway for Sunday. It would be nice if they count. That's it.
It's not gonna be like too much points. So I'm so sorry. What
No
time was
worries.
Shepherd was down? Because I was testing a few things, answering questions. So
I remember it was down around 9 p.m. for me.
which time zone?
Pacific time zone. I'm in Seattle. I sent a message on Slack around that time. So on the help channel, I sent a message.
Yeah, that's weird because like it was somewhat normal to me, but to be honest, like that's kind of like a stretch request. I don't think
see.
we'll take into consideration.
No
I'll
worries.
try to talk to my manager and see, but let's see.
Okay, and this is one thing. The other thing is, so I am an observer in the Android class. Is it possible for me to submit stuff and have them graded even if I'm not going to get the certificate?
I don't think so. Once you're an observer, I don't really know. Like you can contact like the support team, and you have to be the student instead of observer to make it like grades to be considered or like graded, something like that.
All right. So do you mind giving me a hint on lab 4? I'm sorry, the lost lab question 4. So the one where I have a login thing. It's not the one. I don't think we're supposed to use Sigma map at this point, but I was trying it and I wasn't sure if I was approaching it correctly. So if you can offer any hints, that I would appreciate it. Thank you.
So it's SQL injection, and then it's SQL injection 7. Which one you are referring to? Sorry.
I was talking about the lab 4 for last week,
Okay.
challenge 4. It's numerically the 5th one, but in name it's the 4th one, because there is one that was 0.
Okay, yeah, sure. So tomorrow mostly I'll be doing like a TA hours to go over all the complicated challenges. I'll show at that time. I'll try to send you some hints after the session today. I'm just writing your name so I don't forget. So yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, guys. Yeah, sure. Thank you, and happy weekend, everyone. We're already past 10 minutes. I don't want to take anybody's extra time. I will post the summary plus like optional TA hours. I will be showing like complicated challenges from last 4 weeks. We can go over them. See you. Bye-bye.